Hello and welcome to Caroline's Library, where we dive into the world of manga, anime, and more. Today we are talking about my first 25 manga series that I've reviewed on this channel. And these are just my opinions, so apologies in advance if one of your favorites ends up on the lower end. For each series, I'll give a high-level story overview and some brief reasons for each placement. And in order to get into the S tier, it has to be a series that I would willingly reread from start to finish. Alright, let's get into this. Starting off with, my senpai is annoying. Okay, this is a cute romance story about Igarashi and Takeda. They are two co-workers who have a will-they-won't-they relationship. It's not doing anything innovative or clever with the plot, but it is still incredibly satisfying and well done. This is a simple, feel-good story, so for now, I'll put it into the B tier. Next, we've got Choujin X. This is a creative and action-packed story, and with this one, we follow a guy named Tokyo in a society that has superhuman beings known as Choujin. And one day, he's put into a life-or-death situation, and in order to survive, he becomes a Choujin. This manga has great characters, a creative power system, and strong world building. The power system especially is incredibly well done, and has a variety of ways to become a Choujin and how your powers transform to add some real flavor to each character interaction. So we'll put Choujin X into the A tier. And back to romance. Okay, so The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. This is a charming story. It follows Rintaro and Karuko, two students who go to different schools. And for reasons, their schools don't get along. But our two MCs are willing to put that aside to be together. And they have a heartwarming relationship. There's no slow burn, love triangle, or will they, won't they issues. It is a healthy and romantic relationship, pure and simple. So for now, I will put The Fragrant Flower in the A tier. Now on to one of my absolute favorite manga series, Gachiakuta. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so in Gachiakuta, we follow Rudo, a teenager who is obsessed with trash and lives on the sphere with his sort of adoptive father. The sphere is a floating island that hovers above the ground, and one day, for reasons, Rudo is kicked off of the sphere and sent to the ground. And this is where the story becomes a bit of a survival revenge story. There are so many amazing things about this series, the characters, dark themes, mysteries. But my favorite part has got to be the power system, where sentimental items can become vital instruments. And man, I could talk about this series for hours, but for now I'll pop it into the S tier and we will move on. Man, to Dorohedoro. Okay, so from one amazing series to another. Alright, Dorohedoro is set in a gritty and dark society where sorcerers use humans as guinea pigs to test their magic. And one day, a sorcerer makes a terrible decision to try out their magic on Cayman by turning him into a lizard man. And to top it off, this now starts off a game of cat and mouse where Cayman and his friend Nikaido take on the sorcerers. There is some top-notch character development, world building, mysteries, reveals, and the story has some of the most detailed art that I've ever seen in manga. I will say the end sort of went off the rails a bit, just super chaotic, but even with that insane ending, Dorohedoro is going in the S tier. Moving on to Uzumaki, right. This one will probably start off the placements that won't go over too well. Okay, so Uzumaki is a horror and psychological thriller that follows Shuichi and Kirei as they discover that their town is haunted by a mysterious force that takes the form of a spiral. And as this force grows in power, the town experiences more and more horrifying and shocking events. And I hate to say this, but Uzumaki was not for me. I was pretty disappointed in the story, and especially after some of the more public incidents, the reactions from the majority of the townspeople were irritating. And it made me question their intelligence and common sense. Like, a kid turns into a snail in his classroom, and the teachers call the parents to come pick him up. Like, what? That's your response to a kid turning into a huge snail? Right, okay. I also didn't super love the episodic chapters that were sort of like short stories within the larger context of the plot, so yeah. Uzumaki is going into the C tier for me, but if you love horror, you might love this. And another one of my absolute favorites, The Summer Hikaru Died. This is a mysterious and psychological thriller that follows Yoshiki and Hikaru, two best friends. One day, Hikaru decides to hike up the village's creepy mountain, but when Hikaru returns, something's not quite right. And when Yoshiki asks him about it, the truth is revealed. Hikaru's body has been taken over by a dangerous being. This story immediately captured my attention, with a relatable MC, intriguing mysteries, and extremely satisfying world building. Yoshiki's complicated dilemma is full of raw emotion that the author beautifully brings to life with some incredible art. We've also got fascinating mysteries that only get more complicated as the story progresses. So what starts as a sort of creepy old wives' tale about a mountain quickly escalates into a dangerous investigation into the dark history surrounding the village. This is a must-read manga, and it is going straight into the S tier. Yeah. Next up, Fruits Basket with our sweet little high schooler, Toruhunda. Okay. When she's discovered for reasons by the mysterious Soma family, they insist that she move in with them. But the Soma family has a well-guarded secret that Toru quickly stumbles upon. This family has been cursed by zodiac animals. This story combines romance, humor, and a bit of horror with some truly sad backstories. Overall, it is a feel-good story, and I highly recommend the manga and the anime adaptation. So with that, Fruits Basket will go into the A tier. Yeah. Moving on to Gokurakugai. Okay. With this one, we have a dynamic duo, Tao and Alma. And these two work for a troubleshooter agency that hunt and kill Manga. Manga are demon-like creatures that have to eat humans to survive, and things quickly get more complicated when we learn about a special group of human-like, intelligent Manga with enhanced abilities. So, the story starts off with an action-packed first volume, and to be honest, I'm hoping the author starts to slow down the pace a bit to allow for more world building and character development. This story has so much potential, and I could see it easily moving up in the ranks once we get some more volumes, but for now, I'm going to say it holds a solid spot in the B tier. Yeah. Okay. I'm never going to pronounce this manga correctly. I'm just going to call it The Tree of Death. And I'll be honest, I had my doubts that a 3-volume manga series would be worthwhile, but wow. This series rocked me to my core. It starts off with our main character Nawa as his life is turned upside down when his wife and daughter are brutally murdered. But this revenge story quickly escalates into a much larger conflict that is not a simple struggle of good versus evil, because you start to understand both sides of the dilemma. So Tree of Death is a heart-wrenching gut punch of a series, and I'm going to move it into the bottom of A tier. Switching gears to Fire Force. Okay, Shinra Kusakabe is a third-generation fire soldier and member of the Special Fire Force Company 8, who protect the public from infernals who are victims of spontaneous human combustion that turn into fire demons. And with each volume, the author reveals parts of the mystery surrounding infernals, which only adds to this complicated web of conspiracies and intrigue. For me, the story had plenty of plot layers to pique my curiosity, but the immature oddball characters and the cringy fan service really started to grate on my nerves, so I'll put Fire Force in the B tier. Yeah. Next up, Jagaaaaaan. Okay, so before reading Jagaaaaaan, I'd watched a few videos where it was highly recommended, so I went in with pretty high expectations, and we'll just say Jagaaaaaan wasn't for me. It's a story of Jagasaki, a police officer who unexpectedly becomes a half-fractured human after parasitic frogs rain down from the sky. And the story only gets weirder from here. We've got talking birds, overly emotional, murderous creatures, and an absurd amount of X-rated scenes. Like, I don't even want to call it fan service. It's just straight up raunchy. For for me, it's going into the C tier. Now for Ichi the Witch. Okay, so this story takes place in a land of witches and magical creatures where women can be specialized hunters who obtain magical abilities while men are unable to use magic. Until a random guy named Ichi unintentionally becomes the first male witch. For me, the story had a little bit of a rough start with a simple-minded MC, an annoying witch, and immature magical creatures, but it started to work through some of those initial kinks and became a much more interesting story around chapter 23, when the author introduced intriguing antagonists, more world-building details, and some strong character development. So for now, I'll put Ichi in the B tier, but this definitely has potential to move up. Yeah. Okay. Blue Exorcist. Oh boy. Okay, so we've got twin brothers who are the sons of Satan, and they enroll at True Cross Academy, an exorcist training school. And at first, Blue Exorcist immediately captured my attention. We have some really interesting and entertaining first few chapters with our main guy. But as we get deeper into the story, I just could not connect to a single character. There was virtually zero character development, and the story arcs were really hit or miss for me. So I wanted to love the series. I went back to it so many times, but it's just not it. It's gonna be a C tier for me. Yeah. Oh man, and continuing the trend. Okay, we've got Battle Angel Alita. A bounty hunter cyber medic finds a cyborg body in a scrapyard, takes it home, rebuilds it, and now we've got Alita, our MC. And at first glance, the story reminded me of Gachiakuta, so I had high expectations, but the series also features one of my least favorite tropes, miscommunication. And the motorball arc really fell flat for me, so this is a classic that's just not for me. It's going in the C tier. Okay, Sakamoto Days. I have never had a manga series make me laugh out loud as often as this one. We follow Taro Sakamoto, a retired hitman, and his crew of oddball misfits as they start an ridiculously awesome adventure to defend Sakamoto's retirement. And this leads to some insane, hilarious, and epic moments of complete mayhem and chaos. This is pure comedy and action through and through. So oh man, A or S, S or A. We're gonna go top of A with this one. Yeah. Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, the story starts off with Yuji Itadori, a normal high schooler living a normal life, trying to avoid joining the school's track and field club until he finds a cursed item and is thrust into a world of sorcerers and curses, fighting an age-old conflict. Okay, real talk. I wanted to love this series, and Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0 is peak. Some of my absolute favorite characters are in this series. My obsession with Megumi is so real, but if the reader has to go to YouTube in the hopes of finding a video to explain what is happening, then the author has failed. Sorry, not sorry. And I'm talking about the sorcerer curse techniques. Some volumes even have these complicated explanation pages that are just info dumps, and they will even occasionally admit that some of the curse techniques can be confusing. So for me, the manga is B tier, but I highly recommend watching the anime because the anime does a phenomenal job bringing this story to life. Yeah. Okay, Hell's Paradise. Gachiakuta the Hollow is an infamous and ruthless ninja, but after getting married, he experiences a kinder side of life and decides to cut ties with his gruesome past. But that doesn't go over too well with his chief, who marks him as a traitor, and Gachiakuta is sentenced to death. But instead of going through with the execution, he's given a proposition. So now our MC is off to an island with a task force of criminals. Hell's Paradise had plenty of potential with unpredictable character interactions, intriguing mysteries, but the world building comes across as info dumps, and the initial pace of the story felt like we were at a sprint. There's also some unrealistic battles where characters are planning the strategy in the middle of the fight as if the enemy is just sort of like standing there waiting for you to figure it out. So this series is fine. I'll put it top of C tier for me. Move over, Uzumaki. Cool. Speaking of skilled and deadly ninja, we've got Shinobi Undercover. Yotaka is one of the best ninja, and you can trust him to handle any enemy thrown his way, but he has one slight problem. He is socially awkward and will do just about anything to avoid social interactions. And as an antisocial loner, he receives the worst mission he could possibly imagine, to protect a high school girl by going undercover as a high schooler himself. This story features an absolutely adorable and genuine MC, intriguing mysteries, and a quirky crew of misfit ninja. And to be honest, the support characters are probably my favorite part of this series, so this is A tier 100%. But where? There. Okay. Berserk. What an epic classic with an iconic main character. Guts is a feared warrior and lone mercenary known as the Black Swordsman, and he has one purpose driving him forward. He intends to get vengeance against the God Hand, a group of demonic beings who aid in the betrayal of Guts and his companions. And for me, the Golden Age arc is one of the best arcs in manga, period. The first, I want to say, 12 volumes are peak. And honestly, I would have been happy if Berserk had just been a grimdark mercenary story. It does get more complicated, and there's some more fantasy elements later in the series, which sort of change the vibe of the story, but this is still a must-read classic and a solid A-tier manga for me. Yeah. Man, now for something completely different. Yona of the Dawn. Okay, Princess Yona is a sheltered and charmed princess living in the royal palace where Yona's father rules over the Koka Nation. But unrest has been steadily building, and Yona's life is changed in an instant when her father is assassinated and she's forced to flee the castle in order to survive. She's accompanied by her bodyguard, and she's determined to reclaim her kingdom. And this series has some of the best friendships, an understandable antagonist, and solid world building. Yona is definitely an annoying and challenging character to like in the first few volumes, but her character arc is pretty good, and there's a satisfying slow burn romance. So for me, it was worth it to push through the initial volumes. Yona is going into the A tier. Yeah. Windbreaker. Okay. This is one of the most underappreciated manga series, and I will die on that hill. In Mikochi, we've got the infamous Furin High School, known for delinquent brawlers. Haruka Sakura is about to start his first year at Furin with only one goal in mind, to fight his way to the top. But there's one slight problem. That whole notorious reputation is undergoing renovations. Windbreaker's characters rival the quality of Jujutsu Kaisen. The author introduces a crew of well-rounded and relatable characters that include the protagonists and the antagonists. There's top-tier character development, epic fights, unbreakable friendships. Please, do me a favor and check out Windbreaker. This is S tier for me, 100%. I mean, I've already reread it. I'll move on. Okay, for The Legend of Dororo and Hyakkimaru. This was pretty mid for me. It starts off with the brooding Hyakkimaru, and after surviving a crippling and traumatic childhood, he has one goal in mind: to kill every demon that stole from him. And on his dangerous journey, he runs into our kid thief extraordinaire, Dororo, who quickly takes a liking to our demon killer. So, unable to shake this kid off, they start an epic adventure. The story had so much potential. It has an interesting plot, heartwarming character interactions, solid life lessons. The issue is really around execution. The art really leaves so much to be desired, and some of the story arcs really lack focus by introducing completely random characters and situations. So for me, this is going to be a C tier. Getting near the end, let's do it. Dandadan. Momo and Ken live completely different lives. One is a popular extrovert, the other is a nerdy introvert. But after a chance encounter with some bullies, Momo and Ken get into a heated debate about aliens and spirits. Long story short, a chaotic sequence of events unfolds with aliens, spirit battles, awakened abilities, and a human curse transformation. Very similar to Sakamoto Days, this series is pure chaos, and I am here for it. We have some super enjoyable character interactions, unexpected reveals, and ridiculous situations. Dandadan is definitely A tier. Alright, wrapping it up. Tougen Anki. In the first chapter, we are immediately dragged into an age-old conflict when we learn that our main man Shiki is an Oni. He is quickly recruited into a special school where he's going to learn how to master his abilities to battle the Momotaro. Tougen Anki immediately captured my attention with an action-packed first volume. And all things considered, I think Tougen Anki has plenty of potential to become one of the next big manga series. It's sort of doing what I wish Blue Exorcist had been doing. But for now, I'll put this in the B tier. This definitely has potential to move up the list, though. There. Alright, that is it. The first 25 manga that I have read have now officially been ranked. Okay, we'll see how things change in the future, but for now, I'm feeling pretty good about this list. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, thanks for popping on to watch this manga ranking. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe for more content each week. And until next time, please check out Windbreaker.